all right, people. So I'm here to talk about the Colin Kaepernick thing. It's been a big story in the news, and I think a little bit too big. I mean, okay, he refused to stand for a national anthem. I mean, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it's a huge story. So I figured I'd address it, and that's the thing I want to talk about. People are getting so upset at him, saying he's this anti-American. He should leave the country because he didn't stand for the national anthem. I wouldn't go that far to say that shit. I think the way he went about it was totally stupid and dumb. I mean, if he has something to say, he has a First Amendment. I mean, him not standing for the national anthem is, I don't know, it just seemed kind of dumb to me. Just the way he went about that. And it also seems kind of dumb. I don't want to focus too much on him not standing for the national anthem. I want to focus on what he actually is saying. And once again, we have somebody saying black people are oppressed in this country. And he obviously feels very strongly about this. And like I said, I think he's really standing up for what he thinks is right. But I think he is just another person, another black person deceived by the mainstream media, by these Democrat politicians who lied to us all the time. So, a lot of people want us to make it out to be how much black people are being discriminated against, how racist white people are, and it's simply not true. I mean, if you look at this country, we have equality. We have equal laws for blacks and whites. We can both vote. There's no more slavery. There's no more black people getting shot with a fire hose. And for the most part, 99% of people in this country are not racists. You don't have people in mass, refusing to hire black people just because they're black. You don't have, people, just wanting to be friends with white people. You don't have the racism in our country like we did back in the 60s or before then. So let's stop making it out, like that. And another big talking point is how much black people are killed by cops. Well, okay, in many of these scenarios, the black people are charging the cop, reaching for the cop's gun, threatening to kill the cop, resisting arrest, doing things that actually put their lives in danger, that actually give the cop a reasonable, response. It's a reasonable response for a cop to shoot a guy if the guy is reaching for his gun. I mean, what do you expect? He's asking for it. And white people, there's 2 times more white people killed by cops than there are black people. But you never hear any stories in the media about white people getting killed unjustifiably by cops, even though they're killed 2 times as more. You don't hear anything about that. You don't even hear that statistic, really. It's all about black person killed by cop. And the best one I hear is unarmed black person killed by a cop. But what does that mean? It was unjustified? The guy could be reaching for his gun, you fucking morons. And if you look at the statistics, like I've gone over this many times, how black on black crime is a problem. Like, I believe the number was 25 times more people get killed by by murder than cops when it comes to the black community, some statistic like that. But you won't hear Colin Kaepernick, and you won't hear many of the black leaders or Black Lives Matter talk about black on black crime and how that's a huge problem, homicides, shit like that, how that's a huge problem in the black community. We cannot deny that. And this should be looked at. But again, you're deemed racist if you bring this up. You cannot deny how many people in the black community commit crimes at grossly high numbers. Numbers that are way higher than any other people in this country. So obviously the black community is in the shit. It's in the shit. I mean, let's face the facts, people. Sure, there's a lot of great black people out there, but there's also a lot of black people who are criminals. So it's in the shit. And then you get the whole thing of white privilege. Oh, white privilege. The most bullshit argument I've ever heard. So, okay, it's the white people's fault that they're more successful than black people, that they actually raise a family, right, and teach the kids not to be criminals and don't grow up in a in a terrible neighborhood because they worked hard, went to school, got a good job, and then they taught their kids good values. That's white privilege. I mean, that's no. See, again, more bullshit, more excuses for the black community. And yes, of course, if you're a black child, if you grow up in a divided household, in a fucked up family without a father, in a horrible neighborhood, and if you go to a shitty school, yes, chances are you are going to be, not as good as the white person growing up in a good neighborhood with a good family. But again, that's not the white person's fault that they're successful. So let's stop with this white privilege bullshit. Okay? Again, that's not going to get anything done in furthering progress in the black community. We have to hold the black community responsible for their problems so that they can improve and fix their problems instead of saying white privilege, white privilege. No. We have to address the problems in the community, in the communities. So there you go. And I mean, if anything, back to the equality issue. If you look at issues, look at affirmative action. Black people get a more favorable entrance into schools, and even with some jobs, because of their skin color. Is that racist? I think so. I mean, come on. I mean, that's bullshit. So if I get a good grades, good grade, and as good a grade as a black person, they'll get the entrance over me just because they're black. Does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense to me. And again, that just incentivizes black people doing bad. It just incentivizes, it doesn't hold them to a high standard. And it just, again, incentivizes more problems. So, Colin Kaepernick is arguing bullshit. There is not a huge racism problem. The liberals will make you believe that every conservative is a racist, that Donald Trump is a racist, that everybody's a racist. But that is just bullshit, people. It's not true. I'm not a racist. That's why I have my All Lives Matter shirt on, because all black people's lives matter. All lives matter. That's why I am a big talker of the problem of black on black crime. That's a huge chunk of murders in this country is black on black violence. So all lives matter. And overall homicides are a huge issue because we have a high rate, no doubt about it. So there you go. And once again, no, there is not a huge racism problem in this country. Yes, there are, some people who are racist. That's just going to happen in a country of 320 million people. There are some white racists, there are some black racists, there are people who are Mexican who are racist. I mean, every community has its bad apples, but the media will pick out a few, racist white people or whatever the fuck, or the KKK, and say, oh, look at racism, we have a problem with racism against blacks. And they'll just show one side of an issue, and they'll never show the good people. And same thing with the cops. It's always, oh, how bad they are, murder black people, but they'll never show anything else. They will never talk about the 99% of the time the good shit they do. So there you go, people. I believe Colin Kaepernick's argument is bullshit. There's not a huge racism problem with black people in this country. The reason that they are in the shit is because of liberal politicians and their policies over the last a lot of years. And if you look at the inner cities that have been run by blacks, Baltimore, or run by Democrats, Baltimore, Detroit, Chicago, they're all in the shitter, people. They're all in the shitter. So it's the Democrats' fault. It's really people on both sides of the aisle's fault, but, mainly the Democrats who have pushed the liberal policies of welfare and, again, white privilege and all this bullshit. So it's their fault. And again, we have to hold the black people responsible. We have to hold everybody responsible. If you go out and live a life of crime, that's not because of white privilege. That's because you're a fucking thug. We have to call these people what they are. If you go out like these Black Lives Matter, many of these, you know, people, and you know, you kill cops, or you say, or you know, many of these Ferguson so-called protesters or Baltimore so-called protesters, you're a thug. You're a thug. You're a horrible human being. You're a criminal. We don't hear the media. And we got to call them out again. Call people out for their actions, and not say, "Oh well, it's okay. They don't have any jobs. They, you know, blah 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 blah. White privilege, white privilege, white privilege." Just stop it with all this, you know, white privilege bullshit. So there you go, people. I think I've done enough ranting on Colin Kaepernick. Again, I'm not a big deal about him not standing for the anthem. More of what he was, you know, talking about. And that is, you know, the how oppressed black people are. Give me a fucking break. They are not oppressed. You know, we are a very inclusive country. We have you know, again, most people, 99% of people in this country are not racist. So stop it with this bullshit. So there you go, people.